The way I was kind of raised, man, it was you make the most of it, you seize the day, you don't sit back and wait for things to happen, you go make them happen. And that's good kind of in a way because it teaches you a work ethic, but it's a little dangerous. It's a little bit of a slippery slope. You actually can think that you're like responsible for or actually the reason things happen. It was who I believed I was, and so if I played well, I felt good about myself. If I played bad, I felt bad about myself. My identity was tied up in my grades, my athletics, my relationships. I had been duped into kind of thinking that you could establish or create a sure foundation in your life if you just performed well enough. You know, my grades were perfect. I was second in my class of 400, students in high school. I was all state or all region in every sport. I'd mastered the art of, looking people in the eyes and shaking hands and saying, yes, ma'am, no, sir. I'd gotten into every school I wanted to go to, and yet I was absolutely miserable on the inside. I worried about everything. I was insecure. And so I just cried out to God and said, Lord, if you're who you say you are, then I give up. I surrender. And why don't you lead and I'll follow? I got drafted in the 7th round. Nobody expected me to be drafted. For me to even have an opportunity to play in the NFL is so clearly God's story that getting drafted blew my mind. There's kind of this old line of thought in pro sports. You play until they rip the jersey off your back. I mean, who in the world would leave the game before they had to? And I just had something going on in my heart that made me think, I don't think that's how it's going to go down. And it didn't make a lot of sense because I was healthy, I'd kicked really well, and it was like the perfect setup for a guy who was an older kicker. I didn't have to kick off and I was playing in a dome. And so coming out of that year, being 23 at 25, I felt like God said, you're done. And he didn't show us exactly what that looked like, but he gave us just a glimpse that gave us the courage and the faith to kind of step out and go, we're going to say no to what the world says we should say yes to. That year, God gave us a vision for hosting an event to benefit Bible translation, and we felt like God just said, lay it all on the line. And so we invited every athlete couple we knew from across the country, business couples, Randy Alcorn, Chris Tomlin, you name it. We felt like God said, do this thing bigger than big can be imagined. And that night, there was like $5 million given. That next year, we felt like he told us to travel, and we began to travel through Africa, and we spent about a month and a half just traveling from Southern Africa up to East Africa and seeing things that we had a connection to one way or another. And slowly but surely, I think what God helped us understand was he wanted us as a couple to kind of be a couple who would say to our friends, hey, come with us, we'll show you. And so we started inviting our friends, athlete families, business families, you name it, to go and see the kingdom. We don't even know what that means, It's not like we're the keys to the kingdom, but we just know God said, man, get out of your comfort zone. Get out of your little Christian bubble in America. And so through the years, we've taken like 30 families to Africa for anywhere between 2 and 6 weeks each summer. And God's broken our heart for the nations and the least and last of these and the Bibleless peoples of the world and for women who are trafficked. We thought the NFL was great. What has happened since we left the game has been so more rewarding than anything we could have ever imagined. It was like just the start of a story. And I have a massive opportunity here to be about other people. Jesus came to free captives and to liberate prisoners and to heal the lame and to bring sight to the blind, not to serve himself. And I want to stand before God one day and say, I accomplished the work you sent me to do, and hear him say, well done, my good and faithful servant.